All right, hi, this is Henk. Welcome to another edition of the Skull Sessions. And why don't you say your name for me so I can make sure I get it right?
Sure, it's Matt Shorr.
So, my guest is Matt Shorr.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, so let's talk about what we got going on.
Okay, well, I am a writer. We'll go ahead and just say writer extraordinaire. Why not? Everybody, if Stan Lee can call himself the greatest in the world, I can call myself an extraordinaire, right?
No, of
Uh,
course, it's all about talking yourself up.
right? Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
be
We can,
humble. Yeah,
yeah, we can do that. We can do all that. The hyperbole.
right.
So writer. I do a lot of work with both novels and with comic books. Uh, do
Okay.
tend, do tend to favor a very specific genre, the horror and the macabre type of stuff. I grew up on Tales from the Crypt and A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's what molded me into the well-adjusted adult that I am today. So
Yeah,
yeah, all of my stories tend to.
yeah, the first Nightmare is so good.
Oh, the first is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Even
haven't.
with like the bad CGI at the end where the mom gets like pulled through the door, like that always bugged me how good the movie was until that. And I was like, dude, really? But anyways,
Yeah, well, nothing will beat those original ones. There's just a style with like old 80s horror films. Like someone once described it like a lot of the bluish tones whenever it's dark. I could get into we could do a whole podcast just on how great
we
the
probably could
cinema from
because
that
I'll bet
was.
I've seen all of them and I appreciate all of them, like
Yeah,
Pumpkinhead or The Fly or The Thing, or they're all those movies that they had that feel to them.
yeah, they absolutely did. And like even with Nightmare on Elm Street, even like some of the sequels that even though I know they got silly, I still can't help but love them a little because Freddy being Freddy.
I mean, they were cheesy, but I also saw them as a kid. And as a kid, I was like, oh man, they're so good. And then I'd watch them again as an adult and I'd be like, well, the first one holds up really well, but the second and third one, they kind of get cheesy.
Yeah, they did. As sequels go, probably two, three, and four are the best you could ask for. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it's inevitable with any series that runs
Oh,
too
well,
long.
I totally went off the rails. Yeah.
Yeah, it's inevitable, but it's still a fun ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it did way better than like Pumpkinhead. I don't know if you saw the sequels, but they are fucking horrible. Like the first one is
I,
amazing, but after
yeah,
that, it gets really bad.
I only saw the first one, and yeah, the first one was amazing. But it sounds like I'm well off not having seen the sequels to that.
Well, like I don't want to talk about this all day because we want to get to your topics, but I remember Todd McFarlane, like he made all those horror action figures, so
Mhm.
he made one of Pumpkinhead. So I remember I bought it off eBay. And it turns out I'm in New York, and it turns out the guy who had it was in Manhattan, and I was in Brooklyn at the time. She was like, "Oh, why don't you just come by my house and pick it up?" And so it also turns out that he helped produce Pumpkinhead too. He's like, "Have you seen it?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Don't watch it. It's horrible." So the producer of the movie said that, and like, so I watched some clips just so I could see how horrible it was. Basically, it's a guy in a rubber suit running around in the daylight. It's like, all right, you destroyed
Yeah, that's not a good idea. That has to be in the dark.
it.
Yeah. Just by yeah, pragmatically too. Like you need that darkness to cover up the parts of the suit that don't work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Especially at a low budget. Like imagine Evil Dead in bright daylight.
Yeah, that would not work. Yeah, you can't do that.
But all right, man. So let's talk about what you got out right now.
Okay, so let's see. The most recent thing that I've published is a comic that's called Boot Hill Horrors. So
Okay.
this was I have I love westerns and I've especially the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood and the most recent western that to me is still one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever made, is Tombstone.
Right.
There are other good ones, but those are always going to probably be my tops. But one of the
Did
spaghetti
you
westerns,
see? Side note, real quick. Did you see
sure.
Bone Tomahawk?
Yes, I did very
I
recently. I saw that.
thought it was great Western horror.
Yes, That was a good one. Not for everyone, because the one
Yeah.
scene in particular, but it was a good one. Yeah. Yeah, I really got into that one.
You don't mean when the
But
guy gets split in half, or
yes, yeah, that's one some people might want to avoid that part, but the premise of it, of them like going through and just in the darkness, and like there's not a whole lot. There's like no special effects in this thing, except maybe if you want to include like gunshots, there might be a little bit of CG in there just to insert the blasts, but it's very just straightforward and gritty, and it's that style of Western, and it's why I've always thought Western can really lend itself to a horror kind of theme. I feel like you could
but
throw
it
in
works.
vampire.
Not having that
Yeah,
CGI works. Yeah.
I feel like you can throw in like vampires, werewolves, ghosts, just whatever kind of monster you want. And in the West, for very a lot of reasons, it works because you've got, because you're at a time in American history where we don't have electricity, so there's going to be a lot of dark at night. It's going to be like really dark,
Right.
so that gives you like some tension, and then just throwing in these, these wild creatures, and just the American West is kind of like our own sort of you have Greek mythology, Roman mythology. Well, the Wild West is really kind of America's mythology, and so you
Right.
can really tell kind of otherworldly stories in that setting. So
I did side note real quick. There's Meryl Davis put out this horror anthology. It's like it's called Tumble Bleed. And I
okay,
did a story that I was like, well, I do a lot of like cosmic horror, like kind of Lovecraft stuff. So she's like, well, what do you think about a Western horror? I was like, I think I could do it. So I watched a bunch of movies like Bone Tomahawk and like talked to a bunch of people. There's actually a lot of interesting stuff that people don't know about the West. Like it seems like it's kind of like rounded and polished off by Hollywood, but it's not. There's a whole bunch of craziness.
hmm yeah. Well, a lot of my ideas for it's the backtrack here. The Boot Hill Horrors comic, that one, that is an anthology of a handful of just Western ghost stories, and it's stories of like there is a like a werewolf story in there.
Okay.
Another one where a guy makes a deal with the devil. Another one where a guy like has a nightmare about going to hell, and there's a fourth one in there like with vampires, and so yeah, it's just mythology and mythos. It all just it blends together so well with the West, and you can play so much with just surrealistic just imagery, I think,
Oh,
with
especially
the
with like the
West.
lack of technology, so like you definitely get a lot more across. Is it all different authors or all different artists or what's going on with the compilation?
Different artists. So I wrote all of the stories, so those are
Okay.
all mine. But I am sadly not an artist. So when it comes to sequential art, I've got to get some help. But I can take credit. I did design the cover for it, so it's like it sort of looks like an old Western card from a card game, but instead of like the Jack of Spades or whatever, it's like a cowboy tipping his hat, but his face is a skull. So I'm really proud of that cover. I like it.
No, that's cool. Yeah, so is there like I don't want you to pick favorites because that's kind of rude to do. But like, is there a style that you really think expresses like your storytelling, like the Mike Mignola style, or like the Bernie Wrightson style, or the like the more illustrated Al Williamson, Wally Wood, or more like the like I said, like the Mike Mignola, or like the Jack Kirby or something like that.
I would lean toward Mignola. The artist I've worked with the most, a guy named Joe Bilicic. What attracted me to his style was it had that kind of Mignola quality where it really feels kind of surreal and almost mythical. Um,
Okay.
I
I,
really
I think
like
he's
that.
underrated, by the way. I really like his stuff.
Oh, I love Mignola. Again, we could do another whole podcast about how great I think Mignola is. But
He actually thinks that he's not that good. Like, whenever I talk to anybody, like, yeah, I talk to Walt Simonson, I talk to Steve Bissett, like, they're all like, dude, he's amazing. It's like, he's the only, well, artists are their own worst critics, but he's really
true.
good.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no artist likes their stuff at all. But in his case, it hurts my heart a little bit because yeah, his is of all of the ones, his is the art style that I really recognize and it resonates with me. I know a lot of people speak highly of Alex Ross, and I don't want to knock him. Alex Ross's artwork is fantastic, that photorealistic style that he does. But what I really like about Mignola is it's sort of in between photorealism and really just kind of surreal and unnatural looking that he's just so good at it. And as opposed, and another one is Todd McFarlane. Another one, he's really good, and I'm not
Right.
detracting anything, but he goes like so outrageous with some of his designs, whereas McNola's a lot more understated, which it just resonates with me, and I really like it.
I think Mignola. This sounds like I like both, so it sounds like a cop out. But I think Mignola is like he's an artist I favored. Like I really feel the artistry in his stuff. It doesn't feel as much like he got you, more like he was composed.
Yeah, and that's when it comes to the sequential stuff, the way he lays stuff out, and just yeah, it's like there's one story I remember where somebody's wandering through a graveyard and I mean, nothing is happening, but in between all the panels of this person moving are images of the different headstones where there's like a face on it. It's almost like all these faces and eyes are watching this person as they walk through the graveyard, just the way he laid it out. Um, yeah, so
It is
that's another
very
little thing he
clever to
does.
do so much with so little. Like,
Yes.
if that makes any sense, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, well, this is simple. It's like, no, but it actually takes like, I forget who it was, like, famous artist said, like, it takes a lot to make something really elegant and simple.
Oh yes, understated and simple, and I think this resonates the most with everybody when it comes to any kind of imagery. Like for instance, if I talk to anybody and I say, let's say, tell me what image do you think of when I say Ghostbusters? Everybody thinks of that very simple logo. It's three colors, black, white, and red, of that ghost with the slash mark through him.
I think
That's
it's the
all it
Marshmallow
is.
Man.
Well, you're not I guarantee though, somebody somewhere in there you thought of that logo. Everybody remembers that logo. And like the old Batman movie from 1989, everybody remembers that gold and black emblem. That's all the poster was, but everyone remembers it. So yeah, understated and simple, it sticks with people, I think, a lot better than these big, incredible, grandiose images of like some superhero flying through the city and the city's all neon and gorgeous and amazing. And yeah, that's talent. And I don't want to detract from it, but I think people, I don't know, the
I kind of
simple
feel like that's been
understated.
done a lot. Like,
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying, like, do you watch The Boys by Garth Ennis?
Yes, I love the boys.
That's it's like we had the era of like the Daredevils and Spider Mans and whatever so I think the boys kind of a clever take on that.
Oh, the boys, I think is brilliant. I love the boys is what I've always felt like the Watchmen was kind of trying to be. Only Watchmen was much more
Well,
serious.
I love like I read Watchmen when it first came out. Like
Hmm.
I was going to school and I'd read it on the bus and I was like, oh my God, wow! Like it blew my mind because there was nothing like that at the time.
That's true. And I read it. I was in college when I first read it, so I read the trade version. But it was unlike anything. And there's that. It's one that I think I didn't get as into it. It's one of those. I liken it to the Beatles. Like I'm not super into the Beatles, but I know how important they were to
Right.
music. I would
I
never
think
say they weren't.
Yeah, I think you had to be there at the time because I
Yeah.
remember Dark Knight came out and Watchmen
Yes.
came out, and they just blew the foundations off everything. And at the time, like I wanted to be a comic artist, and I was like going to one of like those local indie comic shops because there's a university in town. They were very rare. Like comic
Mhm.
shops in that time were very rare, but they had Watchmen, they had Dark Knight, and they're like, "Oh, you should check this out." And yeah, like I said, like it blew my like 12-year-old mind.
Yeah, that's another one. You're right. Dark Knight. I read it, and I think I liked it at the time. I lost interest in it as I got older, but I'll never deny its importance. Like, because, yeah, we would not have a lot of the great stuff we have today without what was contributed back then, along with others like in that time. Like, I discovered way after the fact Alan Moore's take on Swamp Thing. That was amazing.
To this day, that's my favorite. Like that art team, John Tolbin, is Steve Bissett. They're huge influence. My favorite art team ever. You know, like a lot of people when they draw, they're like, "Oh, like John Tolbin much?" Like, well, of course, who doesn't? You know,
Right.
but and I interviewed Steve Bissett for the podcast. He's really nice.
Cool. Great. Yeah. I got nothing to add because there was just everything about like every single issue. I just looked forward to the next story because it was, yeah, you're right. The artwork was amazing. Alan Moore's just storytelling style. It's always
It took
been
it to the
really
next
kind of
level.
grim.
Yeah,
It's a grim and melancholy kind of feel. It's not just full on darkness, but there's something kind of off in the corner. Yeah, it was so good. Yeah, so I think Alan Moore's storytelling. I wish I discovered it sooner because he was so good, so
yeah.
good.
Well, and I remember like one thing I really liked is like he did this like horrible horror, not horrible, but like horrible, like a lot of horrible stuff happens, horror story. And at the end, like the Abby, the main girl, she leaves and it says he has like he ends it with the poem. And he's like, um, what was it? There she goes down highways in dark by demons driven. I
I
thought
don't think
that
I've
was so good.
that is good. I don't think I've read that one. Was that that wouldn't be Neonomicon, would it?
No, it's one of his Swamp Thing stories. Like, remember,
Oh, a Swamp Thing story. Okay, sorry.
Remember her uncle like was this like it was arcade. He was this really
Yeah.
horrible creature, and so it was like right after like some big like fight with him, and I remember Swamp Thing was involved, and Abby was involved, and all that stuff. But at the end, it's kind of like the kind of like in the horror movies, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was like just standing there swirling with the chainsaw. It was
Mhm.
that sort of thing. It was like just kind of a calm, but things aren't right.
Yeah. Now I need to go back and reread Swamp Thing. It was so good.
Well, I would never say don't read Swamp Thing because yeah, it's so good.
It was phenomenal. Yeah, and nobody's ever come close to matching what he did with that. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
so good.
Well,
Um,
I think I know with Watchmen, the Charlton Comics went out of business, so DC bought all the characters from Charlton Comics, like the Blue Beetle and the Fly and all that stuff. And then there's this new talent, Alan Moore, and when they hired him, by the way, for Swamp Thing was getting canceled within an issue. Like they were like, "Well, we can't fucking everybody work. We being able to try this guy out." So they gave it to him, and he made it a bestseller. And so then with the whole batch of Charlton comics they bought, they're like, why don't we give it to this guy to reboot it? Like anybody can like save a dying franchise. So they
mm,
gave it to him, and then when he started reading Watchmen, they're like, wait, you're fucking everybody up and killing everybody off. You can't do this. We just bought this. So then, like, if you notice, a lot of the characters in Watchmen, they're basically the Charleston characters, but renamed.
yeah,
So, but I know he got a ton of shit about the whole thing. They really fucked him over with the royalties and all that, which is another
yeah,
issue entirely. But yeah, it's like I think he wanted to go even farther with Watchmen. I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't talked to him, but I think they might have held him back a little bit.
probably. Yeah, there's a lot that's been said about all that. A lot that will never be said, I'm sure. I'm all but certain I side with Alan Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Alan Moore, like my girl calls him, like the old wizard guy, but like he has all the rings. Like he tells you he's a wizard, but it's like I believe him. All the other artists tell me too that DC just screwed him over.
Hmm. Yeah, that's no surprise. Both DC and Marvel, especially that era, were not, yeah, very draconian, I think is
Yeah,
the term. I think they're better now, but that's also kind of subjective, I
but
suspect.
I think a lot of the old guard moved out, so they kind of had to evolve with the times. Like
Yeah,
we want to keep good people. They keep going to like image, places like let's keep the race.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But let's get back to your project for a
Sure.
moment. So, how is it put out? What's it available on? And are you running a crowdfunding campaign for it?
It's already out. So if anybody wants to get a copy, we got copies available through Indie Planet. You can get it through there.
Okay.
Um, and we have links to all of that on social media. So if you follow us on our publishing house that I put together is just called Shorr Manor Studio. So if you look us up on Facebook or YouTube, we've got all of our links to where you can buy our comics, our books, everything. So it'll
Do
all
you
be
have
there.
a website so they can all go to the website?
Those act as our website at this point. So youtube.com slash at Shorr Manor and facebook.com slash Shorr Manor. That's where you'll find us right now.
Okay, and if they want to buy copies of the comics, would they get a hold of you on that? Would they go to Amazon? How do you arrange that?
Okay, the comics you'll get them through Indie Planet. Indie Planet carries the comics where you can just log in and order one of those there. And if you wanted to order an actual one of our books, the direct link to our Amazon page, that one is again on our social media channel. So you can find both of those there. And if you happen to be in the area of Clarksville, Tennessee, there are a couple of stores here around that carry my books and comics. So recommend Rick's Comic City is one great place that I love to visit, and also this is a difficult name to say, but Hudabam Book Traders is another one that carries my stuff.
So the what is it? It's Indie Comics. What's the site that hosts
Oh,
all?
sorry, indieplanet.com. So INDY planet.com.
Did they
So
kind of take over for Dynamite?
no, it's strictly it's through Kablam Printing. And
Okay.
so what they do is they offer a platform where they'll carry all of a publisher's or a publisher's, creators, whatever, indie guys comics. So everything that they have on there is independently created and produced. So it's this massive library. So yeah, my stuff is on there along with a whole bunch of others. But my stuff also has its very own specific page that you'll be able to find all of it. So it includes comics I've done with. So we've got Boot Hill Horrors. There's also comics I've done with Dracula, Frankenstein, werewolves, and then my magnum
What are the
opus.
titles of some of those?
Sure, there's I was about to say my magnum opus. The one that I tend to be most known for online seems to be Moby Dick Back from the Deep. So this is a this is a 5 issue series that is about the
Uh,
white whale
I
returning.
have a joke for you. Are you
Okay, go for
ready?
it. Let's
All
see
right.
if I'm ready.
So, did you hear that Disney is making a transgender whale movie?
No.
It's called Maybe Dick.
Oh,
Dun, dun, psh. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. Well, no, that's not this one. This one, he is a zombified sea monster returning in modern times,
Okay.
causing chaos, and he's still being hunted all these years later by the zombified crew of the Pequod, Captain Ahab. So it's kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean meets Jaws.
Okay.
It's that I had a lot of fun with that one. I especially had fun writing stuff for Ahab. Ahab's gosh, he has great dialogue. But so yeah, that's another one that you can find on there. And then yeah, with Dracula, we've got it's called Dracula, God of the Dead, and then Frankenstein was a big. We just called it giant size Frankenstein. Um, I have another one that's I'm known for here in my area called Jesus Christ Demon Slayer, which is just Jesus going around the shores of hell, wielding a flaming sword and hacking and slashing demons and monsters and devils.
Okay. And
So, yep.
all those are available through the same platform.
Yep. You can find all of those through Indie Planet. So, yeah, indieplanet.com. And if you look me up on there, you'll find it. Or, like I said, our social media on Facebook or YouTube, you can find links to both of the sites that have my
Okay,
books.
what's the name all that stuff is under? Like, do you have a specific publisher name that all of it's under?
It'll either be my name, Matt Shorr, or the publishing is oh sorry,
Mm,
Shorr Manor Studio.
okay.
Yep.
And do you do like local book signings or like appear at comic shops and stuff? Do you have
Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead?
always trying to make appearances. Like, so I've done stuff with libraries, reached out to several libraries for their events, books. Whenever like free comic book day, I'm always there for free comic. I always call like my comic book shop. It's
What
like,
is Free Comic Day? That's like a thing they do at like little shops.
yeah. So the first Saturday of May and every year is free comic book day. So publishers will send out a free issue of whatever to free to local shops, and shops will carry that along with whatever kind of deals they want to sweeten get everybody in. But here in my town, Rick's often invites local writers and artists to come and share their work with anyone who's interested. And I've been going there for several years, so I'll definitely be there again when the time comes. I'll be back there again for like whenever they have Halloween festivities. That'll be worked out. On top of that, yeah, conventions. I've gone to the Imaginarium in Louisville, Kentucky, the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois, which I love both of those. If anybody's in those areas, you should check those out. Those are so cool. Um, and then, yeah, whenever there's any kind of convention that I can get to and make an appearance, I always try to be there, have a table, and have a presence.
Do you do any of the big Comic Cons like the Philly one or the New York City one or the California one?
Not yet.
Which I hear sell out like that.
Yeah, not yet. As a having a full time job and two kids, it's difficult to travel too much. But and with one thing I do like about some of the smaller ones is being that big fish in a small pond. When I go to
Right.
those bigger ones, it's easier to get lost in the shuffle. But I'm still trying, just kind of slowly
I do think you're
farther out.
right. Like I did the Philly Comic Con, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember they had the Frank Frazetta store there, and I met the Frazetta girls. They're really nice. They liked myself, which I took as a huge compliment. And like Neil Adams' studio was there, and I met the guys from the studio, and again they loved myself, which I took as a huge compliment. But as far as sales, not that great because people just sort of like they wanted the mainstream stuff.
Yeah, and I both as a vendor and really as an attendee, I have come to appreciate the smaller ones more, simply because they're more intimate. And so I'll just say, as a customer, I like finding indie creators and who have something that interests me, because like the mainstream stuff, I'll find out about it easy and I can go order it from Amazon or wherever, and that's not a problem. But indie creators, I'm not going to know about them or see them anywhere more than likely than these small little cons.
Yeah,
And I
plus you
love,
probably get the chance to see them in person so they can pitch
yes,
their product to you so you know what it's all about.
yeah, and I get to. There's just something a little bit extra special about having a conversation with the person whose story you're reading, because you have a little bit more insight into their psyche or whatever, and you got an idea of why they wrote this particular story. It just makes it a little bit more special, more intimate, and just, yeah, from on both sides, both as a vendor and as a customer, I've just come to really appreciate those smaller ones.
Well, I know Brian King is a pretty well-known horror author. He owns a comic shop, and he says Marvel and DC are like 3 to 4% of his sales. Like everything else is indie comics.
That's interesting. I wouldn't have thought it's that low.
Yeah,
So hey, good for indies. I'm
yeah,
thrilled to
yeah.
hear it.
Well, I remember. I mean, they go through like bubbles and bursts and like waves. Like, and I remember like when all the indie comic shops were first coming out, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came on the scene, and like they did such a low print run of that first issue that it jumped up in value really quick. So all the shops were buying tons of indies, but the thing is, there weren't many good indies at the time, so they were buying tons of shit that was like it was horrible and they couldn't even sell. So I
Yeah.
remember they have like whole like comic boxes full of like 10 cents each comic. They're just like, please take it, get out. So
Yeah.
that almost killed everybody. And then they all kind of came back with the whole like Watchmen helped and Dark Knight helped and all that stuff. But I remember I went to art school when I moved to New York City in like '98, and I interviewed with DC Comics. They were on the verge of bankruptcy. Like the movie saved them.
Yeah. That's yeah. I think that
So
happened to
it's up
both.
and down, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that happened to Marvel too a while back, didn't it? Like they had to sign all their stuff out to different movie studios just to
Oh yeah,
stay
to
afloat.
Fox, whoever, yeah.
Yeah. That's why we're in the situation now where they had to slowly reacquire all their characters again.
Well,
I shed
it
no
seems
tears
like
for them. They're
everybody
fine.
had trouble. Like like Malibu would have a giant hit with The Crow, and then nothing else. And the
Yeah.
Eclipse would like have a few bestsellers and go bankrupt. So yeah, it's like little indie productions are hard to maintain unless like everything is a bestseller. But all
Yeah.
right, so we could probably go on about that for hours about the whole comic history and like the things that open and close and all that stuff. But do you have anything else that you want to throw out to the social sphere, like stuff they should check out? You have like a crowdfunding campaign coming up.
Okay. I don't have any crowdfundings at the moment, but like I said, you can check out all of my stuff either on Amazon or Indie Planet. If you're into like just actual novels, one series that I've done that's fairly popular is called Dino Horrors. It's kind of like Goosebumps meets Stranger Things, where these kids accidentally open a portal to another universe and these monsters come out. And so, like, the very first story is called Attack of the Zombie Saurus Rex. So it's this giant T Rex that's all skeletal and monstrous looking, and kids obviously the adults don't know what to do, so all these little kids got to find a way to send this thing back where it came.
Of course, always kids.
Yeah, it's always them. So but I had a lot of fun playing with like different dinosaurs and monsters with that series. So we've got like there's the Zombosaurus Rex, there's vampire velociraptors, there's the Werosaurus, and I've got more ideas. I got to keep churning them out, but those are the big ones so far. So yeah, if that's something that's of any interest, yeah, definitely check those out. I'd love to get
So,
more of those out
are
there.
these textbooks? Are they like
Yes,
do they have illustrations?
those are strictly novels, um,
Okay. And
geared
what are
toward
the names of
readers.
those novels?
Dino Horrors. Yeah.
Okay.
And-
And it's a series?
yeah. hmm
And how many
Got,
do you have out?
got four so far. And
Okay.
I've got several more ideas. I want to do more with this. It's geared toward readers 8 to 12, so it's kind of a younger audience. But if you're immature like me, that could be perfect. But I've had a lot of fun with that one because every chapter is like, okay, how can I make this worse? How can I make this worse?
Well, that's a good thing to go for. It's a good agenda. But all right, could they buy that on like Amazon?
Yep, absolutely. That'd be the easiest way. Just look it up on
So
Amazon
the
and you'll
best
find
way
it.
to find that would be on Amazon.
Yep,
All
yep.
right. And do you have plans to do like a website in the future or something where you could like coalesce all of it together?
Potentially. Right now, social media is serving my needs, so I I haven't done it yet, but I'm not going to say I'll never do it. It could be
Eh,
that someday it'll make sense to do it, and I will. But right now, like Facebook and YouTube are serving me really well.
yeah, I hear all the marketers say, "Oh, you gotta have a website," but it's like that might be just a marketer thing. Like they also want to sell you the 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 building of it, and they just want you to throw money at them basically. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've had a website in the past, so I can say from experience that as far as sales go, it having a website versus not having a website has not made any kind of difference.
Okay,
So if that's the case, then it just seems so. For now, I save a little bit of money by not doing it, and I mean, if it ever changes, I mean, I've got nothing against having a website. It's just this is still working just fine, and I'm connecting with people just as effectively as I used to. So right now I don't, but
okay,
that's also why when it comes to social media, I try to have only like a couple, like so Facebook, YouTube, you find me there. And
okay.
so it's very because I've seen people with like 10 or 20 different types of social media. It's like, how do you keep track of that? And how do you
And
tell people
are
where to
you on
go?
Instagram?
Yes, I do have an Instagram account, but I'm not as active on that as I am with
Okay.
Facebook and YouTube. YouTube is our most active since we've got about uh, almost 5,000 subscribers at this point.
Oh, awesome. Do you have a specific channel name? Like, is it all under one umbrella?
Shore Manor.
Okay.
Yep.
All
Just
right.
look up
So
Shore Manor and you'll find us.
everybody should check that out. Do you have a Patreon page or anything like that?
I do. Once again, patreon.com/Shore Manor. If anybody wants to follow us on there, that'd be awesome. We publish new content 3 times a week. So we restore vintage comics and also share new short stories, spooky tales, and then every now and again I like to dig up old horror radio from yesteryear. That's because some of that stuff's awesome. Vincent Price
I,
and all those guys.
I used to listen to that stuff on tape, like as a kid on tape. You know,
My daughter found a cassette tape this morning and said, held it up to me and said, "I want to watch this," and I felt so old. Like, how do I?
I want to watch it.
And I
She
had
could have
no
held
way
up an
to.
8 track.
That would have been even better. Yeah. Well, I had no way to explain because she has no frame of reference for a cassette
Right.
player. Like, how do I explain to her that this was strictly for music? And I don't think I succeeded.
Yeah.
It's like grumpy old grandpa trying to say something.
There are
Young
all
kids
sorts
don't
of stuff.
understand.
Like bring up a floppy disk and you'd be like, "What is that?"
Yeah, right.
But all right, man. Well, thank you for doing this interview. Thanks for talking.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that we should pump you into the wars that you have out?
Like I said, the biggest one right now is Boot Hill Horror. So if you want to see the latest and greatest, check that one out. But yeah, I've got a whole library of comics and novels if you want to check them out on indieplanet.com or amazon.com. It's all there.
Okay. Well, awesome, man. Again, thank you.